2020, November 11th. And before we get started, obviously want to say thank you to all our veterans who have served in our armed forces, keeping our nation free. We appreciate your sacrifice, your devotion to our country. So, all right. So we'll get to the pick four. And I got to pick the games this week. So we'll start off with the Cleveland Browns at home, 3-point favorites over the Houston Texans. I know, not exactly the best game. And I just decided to go this way. A couple of reasons. Number one, Cleveland is one of those teams that you expect them to be able to win these games easily against a bad team like Houston. But sometimes they play down to the competition. So I think this is the week. Cleveland is 5-3. This is the week where, look, if they can beat Houston, they take a step up to maybe getting a wild card. So with that in mind, I was tempted to pick Houston to cover, but I'm going to go with Cleveland. Baker Mayfield's off the COVID list, and my old favorite Dolphin, Jarvis Landry, I think is going to have a big game. So I'm going with Cleveland to cover -3 over Houston. Robert.
Well, first of all, these are trash games that we're picking, and I'm sure Ritz will agree with me on this one. Houston, Cleveland. I mean, there's Vikings, Bears out there. There's other options, including tomorrow night's Thursday night game, which is a battle of the Titans and Colts. So I think there were better options out there. Of course, you have poor taste, so here we are. As for this game, I too will take the Browns. I think they're just a far better team. The Texans are a mess. They have Deshaun Watson, but they fired their coach for a reason. They're 1-6, 1-7 for a reason. The defense isn't that great. And then on top of it, they're making all these bad decisions. They fired their PR director today, who's renowned as this one of the best in the business, and just so happens to be, I believe, up until today, was the only woman in such a role. So another good look for the dumbass Texans. So the Browns are my pick in this game, which shouldn't even sniff the pick four, but we all know who picked the games this week. And we know what a downgrade it is every 3 weeks when this bum picks the games.
Justin, you want to go to insult me too, or do you just want to pick the game?
Well, yes, I will insult you because I just
wow.
Why are we talking about this game? The Browns aren't interesting, and the Texans stink. And you got an AFC division matchup between two teams that are over 500. The Titans, who are, defending AFC finalists.
All right. Do you want to do a mulligan? You want to change the game?
No.
We can change it.
No, we don't. It was your week to pick,
all right.
And you have to lie in that grave. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. When I pick the games, when it's my week, I pick games that are between winning teams if I can, or at least interesting games. This is neither. So I'll just say this. The Browns may be 5-3. They have a very weak winning track record. Their wins have come against the Bengals twice, the Washington football team, the Cowboys, and then, they had a nice win over the Colts. I'm not buying them. Baker Mayfield, not buying him. I'll take the better quarterback. I'll take Deshaun Watson.
All right. Okay. Our next game might be a little bit more suitable to Robert. It's his Buffalo Bills at the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona is a 1.5 favorite. Cardinals should have won last week against my Dolphins. They really should have won that game. Kyler Murray was just unstoppable. The Bills arguably might have played their best game of the season last week against the Seahawks. It was a total team effort. Great offense. Kyle Allen, great game. Defense shut down Russell Wilson, or at least, shut him down enough to win convincingly. So Arizona, I think, has to be lamenting how they gave that game away last week, because, like I said, there were a couple of plays. I think if they had gone a different way, they could have won it. It's only a 1.5. I think Arizona wins by a field goal. I think Buffalo gets sent back down to earth. I'm going with the Cardinals. Justin?
Well, as I've said for several weeks, I am not buying the Cardinals Kool-Aid. They just you're right, Chris. That was a game last week that they probably should have won, and they didn't. And they're playing a Bills team that was playing a team that a lot of people picked them to lose to, and they won, and they made Russell Wilson look like a high school quarterback. Now, Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray, kind of similar guys, but Kyler Murray at this stage of his career, way more of a runner than Russell Wilson is. So not quite the same game plan the Bills can throw out there, but if they can do to Russell Wilson if they can do to Kyler Murray what they did to Russell Wilson, I don't see any reason why they can't win this game. So I will take the Bills as underdogs.
Ooh, okay. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, Chris, your team got lucky last week. Cardinals are a better team than the Dolphins for sure. But as you've pointed out repeatedly on Twitter, in between complaining about some Dolphins player that likes to jump a lot, Cliff Kingsbury choked that one away. The Cardinals should have pulled that one out. No doubt about it. As for the Bills, look, I shed my homer tag last week, made a huge error in doing so, picking the Seahawks to win this game. Should have known better. I don't know what it is with those West Coast teams that have to wake up a little bit earlier than they're used to, but whatever. This week, the Bills are on the road. I like them in this game. I think that they're starting to put it together on defense. The last week, I know that they allowed 34 points. It doesn't seem like, that's a great defensive performance, but they did a lot of good things against that Seattle defense. And I think they can replicate that against the Cardinals. And then on offense, the Cardinals defense is okay, but they're certainly not going to stop Josh Allen and this offense, especially with John Brown back to 100% at wide receiver. I think that's a big boost for the Bills because it frees up Stephon Diggs, frees up Cole Beasley. If they can get the running game going a little bit more, I think that'll make the passing attack even more effective. So I'm taking the Bills in this one. I think they will beat the Cardinals.
All right, our next game, the Seattle Seahawks, the aforementioned Seahawks, which lost pretty badly at Buffalo last week. Still on the road, but they're going down the West Coast to LA to play the Rams. Rams are a 1.5 favorite. Seattle, like I said, they're coming off a bad loss. And again, this is a division game, so the opponents are familiar with each other. And I like Seattle to go into LA, pull off the upset, and beat Los Angeles. It's going to be a close game, low-scoring game. I think the defenses are going to – well, at least LA's defense is going to step up. We'll see about Seattle's. But I like Seattle in this game. It's going to be a close game. My gut says LA, but I'm just – for some reason, I just like the Seahawks in this game. So I'm going with Seattle. Robert?
Ooh, it's a risky proposition when Shira goes against his gut. I don't know if that's a good thing for you, given where you are at the Pick 4 standings. Mm-hmm. I'm taking the Seahawks in this one. The Rams, it's tricky with the Rams. I mean, they beat up on some bad teams. I do think that they are a good team for sure. But going up against the Seahawks, I think Russell Wilson's going to look for a way to bounce back. He made some bad mistakes, similar to what he did in the Cardinals game. And I think he's going to want a little bit of redemption there. And this is his opportunity, division matchup, and an opportunity for the Seahawks to get an important win in the NFC West. So I am taking them in this one.
Okay, Justin.
Oh, Chris, you left us there for a minute.
Yeah, I had to check something. I had to look up something online, just so real quick research. So, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, God forbid you do research beforehand, but whatever.
I had to check. I had to double check something just to make sure.
This is the roast of Shira this week.
Yeah, surprise. All right.
I think what we've seen over with the Seahawks these last few weeks is their defense is so bad that it forces Russell Wilson to play some hero football. And while at the beginning of the season I said, you guys remember, I said the top 3 quarterbacks in football are Wilson, Mahomes, and Rodgers, but I thought Russell Wilson was the best of the bunch. And I think we're seeing with old Russ is that when he has to carry a team on his back, he is prone to mistakes. He's shown that the last few weeks when literally every possession, and it's unfair to him to an extent, because when you feel like every possession you need to come away with a touchdown, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. But when you feel like you need a touchdown on every drive, that is when mistakes happen. And that's what's happened with the Seahawks these last few weeks. Their defense is terrible. And I think anyone claiming, or anyone that has been claiming for several weeks, that they're the best team in the NFC, I'd like to have what you're drinking, because they'll be lucky to win a playoff game with that defense. And looking at this game, I think the Rams have a kind of defense that will give Seattle trouble. They're going to rush the passer. I don't think anyone from the Seahawks can block Aaron Donald. I think Russell Wilson's going to be running for his life all game, and the Rams have Jalen Ramsey to shut down. I would assume he'd match up with DK Metcalf. So I just like the way this swings the Rams' favor a little more. I think they'll put up enough points against a porous Seahawks defense to win this game, and I'd say they win it by a touchdown.
All right. Our last game is my Miami Dolphins hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. Dolphins are 2.5-point favorites. Now, we're talking about a little bit earlier with the game against the Cardinals. I was amazed that the Cardinals did not win that game. Kyler Murray was just incredible. Miami definitely has issues stopping mobile quarterbacks. Kyler Murray ran for over 100 yards, threw for 3 touchdowns, I believe, or at least 2, and ran for 1. Miami should have lost that game. But that being said, they found a way to win, and you got to give them credit for that. And the team their confidence is building. Tua, I have to admit, very impressive in that last start. That drive that he had to tie the game up was money. And, I'm starting to see why everybody was just raving about this kid. So I like Miami to cover 2.5. I think this is not going to be one of those Chargers games where they lose on the last play of the game or they lose in overtime. I mean, I think Miami is going to put some pressure on Justin Herbert, and I think that's going to be the key to this game is the Dolphins' defense. Tua, I think, is going to make some good plays, but he doesn't need to carry this team with this defense. So I like Miami to cover 2.5, win by 3 at least, and beat the Chargers. Justin?
A matchup of perhaps, maybe someday we'll say the 2 best quarterbacks of the 2020 NFL draft. We know Chris is hoping that's the case. I like Miami too, just because at this point, how can you have any faith in the Chargers to win a game, win a close game? Either they screw up or the refs screw them. Either way, they seem to lose these games. I will say about Tua, I didn't watch the game last week. I would have loved to, but where I am, I was stuck watching the Cowboys-Steelers game. I think that game set back football about 20 years. But Tua, I think he's only listed at 6 foot. Maybe he's 6'1". Chris, maybe but I was kind of under the impression that he was like a Kyler Murray size, and he looked a little bigger than I thought he would. He looked a little shiftier than I thought he'd be. In the highlights that I saw, I think an exciting game for him, and I look for him to carry that momentum against the Chargers, and I like the Dolphins here to win this game.
Just going to throw this out here before we cut to Robert, but the Chargers are 2-6. The Raiders are 5-3. Each of those teams have a minus 11-point differential. I mean, that's crazy that the Chargers are 3 games behind the Raiders, but they both have the exact same point differential. This shows you how close the Chargers have been, and that's what scares me about this game is that, they are a good team. I mean, I know their record doesn't say that, but they have lost games that you can't figure out how they lost them. It's you scratch your head. So we'll see though. All right, Robert, go ahead. Your pick.
I'm jumping over this game like Christian Wilkins, Chris.
Oh boy.
I'm all over it for you. The Chargers are better than what their record suggests. I've watched a decent number of their games this year, thanks to the Red Zone channel. Shout out to the Red Zone channel. And this team, Justin Herbert's impressed me as a rookie quarterback coming in. He's really taken command of that offense and done a great job. It's just, the Chargers always find themselves in these situations where, at least most games anyway, where they there's like one play that doesn't go their way or one bad decision, and it costs them a win. It happened against the Chiefs. They should have beaten the Chiefs, and it happened again last week in that game as well. So, this is a team that I think is better than their record suggests. That said, Chris, I'll give your Dolphins credit. They've really shown up the last 2 weeks. They were 3-3 with Fitz. I told you, you been talking to me for 2 or 3 years now about Ryan Fitzpatrick and how much you like him and not to rush anything, blah, blah, blah. Mediocrity is mediocrity, my friend. Fitz is a great guy, but nothing more than an 8-8 quarterback. They plugged Tua in there, and they had a great defensive performance against the Rams, but you can easily say that Tua was a big reason why they won that game against the Cardinals, no doubt about it. So 2 big wins there against two good teams. I've been raving about the NFC West this year, best division in football, and the Dolphins have 2 wins over those 2 teams that are contending for that division's title. So kudos to them. I think that they will win this game. I'm expecting, though, some kind of Chargers choke because we've come to expect it, not to take away anything from the Dolphins, but my God, this team, the Chargers seem to find themselves in a position to win almost every week and find a way to lose. I'm looking forward to the new way that they're going to lose this one.
Yeah, we'll see. I remember I had Miami being 6-10 for the entire season. If they win on Sunday, it's their 6th win, and it's just insane that how quickly this rebuild is going. But we'll see. All right, so
playoffs. There's 17 teams.
I get it. They're in the running. Look, what's that?
When is Bills Dolphins?
Week 17.
Week 17. It could decide the division. That is a possibility.
Okay, so now, Chris, assuming things go as we think, those 2 teams will probably be over 500. That'll be a game that you want to pick if it's your week, just so you know.
Okay.
I'm sure you're probably looking at Jets Patriots week 17. That's probably on your radar for some reason. Just remember, people want to hear about good teams, not dog teams, not dog matchups. Just so you know, you got a few weeks to think about it. But
okay, well, thanks. All right, our week 9 takeaways and what to look for in week 10. My takeaways from week 9 is I think we saw some separation in the conferences of the teams that we think they're going to be there in January playing for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I'm talking about the Saints, who went in and really beat up on the Buccaneers. Always fun to see Tom Brady play a stinker. And Justin's Packers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I think, is making a case to be the MVP now. I mean, he's having
come on,
an incredible season. And the Packers, quietly, maybe Justin doesn't think this, but quietly, I think they're right up there with the Saints. I think we could see a New Orleans, Green Bay NFC Championship game. And in the AFC, Kansas City, right there, no letdown really from the Super Bowl. And then the Steelers, I mean, look, they remain undefeated. Ben Roethlisberger's on the COVID list. I mean, they're 8-0. You can't take that away from them. But Robert's Buffalo Bills, I think you have to say, are in that conversation of maybe getting to the AFC Championship game, a Buffalo, Kansas City AFC Championship game possibly. So that's my takeaways. I think we're seeing some separation from the contenders, from the pretenders. We're getting a pretty good idea who these teams are going to be. And then for what to watch for in week 10, the exact opposite. Now that some teams are completely out of it, are they going to really tank? I mean, Jacksonville, the Giants, the Jets are off this week, but I mean, they're 0-9. They've got the number 1 spot there.
They've been off for the past 9 weeks.
I know. Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes there. I mean, I wonder how many of these teams basically are going to say, you know something, it's done. So why even care anymore, so to speak, from trying to be super competitive? Let's just go out there and whatever happens, happens. And if we lose, well, it's going to help our draft position. So I think you're going to see more of a drop off from the worst teams going forward. So, all right, Robert, your takeaways and what to look for.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on one of yours, Chris, and that is, the Saints win over the Bucks impressed me. It really showed. I think it sent a message. They swept the Bucks this year, and the Bucks came into this season with a lot of hype because of the Brady signing, and the Bucks have not looked good against the Saints in either game this year. I still think the Bucks will get into the playoffs just because of how weak the NFC is. It seems like we're starting to get a clearer picture of who will make the playoffs in that conference. But for me, the Saints, really impressed. With that performance, it seems like Drew Brees, old noodle arm as Ritz calls him. It seems like Brees has started to find a little bit more touch again. It helps, I think, to have Michael Thomas back, but that offense is clicking and the defense has played very, very well. So, I think the Saints are really the team to beat in that division, not the Bucks. They've sent a clear message on that. This week for me, there's, we didn't talk about, I think probably the one of the biggest games this week, and that's Colts Titans. I mean, that's going to really, for the Titans, if they win, they can grab a 2-game lead in the AFC South. And that's a nice cushion to have as you enter the final stretch. And then for the Colts, if they win, they pull even with the Titans. So quite a fight in that division. That's something to watch. And then, really the other thing, on my list this week, in terms of matchups anyway, is in terms of the Vikings and the Bears. The Vikings have had a little resurgence here after a slow start. They've looked good in the last couple weeks. Apologies to Justin. They did beat the Packers, and now they have a chance to rough up the Bears. I think that's going to be a big matchup there. We'll see how well the Bears play, and we'll see if the Vikings can keep it going and make a late run here in the NFC.
Justin, your takeaways and what to look for.
So we're all talking about the NFC. I'll throw my hat into the ring on both sides of the spectrum here. We're going to talk ourselves in circles for the next couple of weeks about who the best team in the NFC is, because I think a lot of people, wrongly so, as I said a few minutes ago, would have said the Seahawks are the team to beat because Russell Wilson is playing so well. Well, they just had an embarrassing loss against the Bills. The Packers, they've been up and down the last month. Obviously, they got their butts kicked by the Buccaneers a few weeks ago. But I think I think their offense is just so dynamite that they're going to be there at the end of the mix, or at the end of the day, for that number 1 seed. And then the Saints are kind of that one team out of all these NFC contenders. I would still throw the Bucks in that mix too. They're the one team that, despite the fact that they do have 2 losses, they haven't gotten their what's handed to them yet. Their couple losses came to Green Bay, which was a 1-touchdown game, and they lost to the Raiders, which was another close game. And they seem to be kind of really picking up steam here. Michael Thomas is coming back. He played his first game in quite a while this past weekend. Their defense might be the second or third best in the entire conference. The thing I will say about the Saints and Robert's boy, Drew Brees, noodle arm, they need to get home field, because even if they are a quote unquote better team than Green Bay will say, Green Bay owns the head-to-head, and I would not trust, as good as they're playing right now, I would not trust Drew Brees going into Lambeau Field in January in 5-degree weather trying to outclass Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see that happening. So it's really important that the Saints win that tiebreaker with the Packers outright. have a better record than them when all said and done. I also just want to point out quick, just kind of the lower playoff seeds in the NFC. I think the Saints, Seahawks, Packers, Buccaneers are all locks to get in. The Eagles, by virtue of playing in the worst division in 20 years, they're going to get in. But that 6th and 7th seed is going to be really interesting to watch here in the second half of the year, because Cardinals and Rams, both 5-3. The Bears have 5 wins, although they're falling off here. 49ers, if they can get healthy to somewhat healthy, I wouldn't be shocked to see them make a run at it. And then Robert mentioned the Vikings. The Vikings are coming on here. Dalvin Cook is probably the favorite for Offensive Player of the Year right now. The problem is that they do play the Bears this week, and as an NFC North expert, I can tell you that the Bears have absolutely owned the Vikings during the Kirk Cousins era. If we were picking that game, I would take the Bears. We are not. We had to talk Browns-Texans, but
all right, man.
That's what I'm taking away. And then just looking forward, this is more of a big picture thing, but this is probably a subject we would have talked about if the Citizen NFL podcast was still alive and well. The NFL owners, and they had their meeting this week or whatever, and they voted to approve a new system for basically rewarding teams that groom minority executives and coaches. And then they also approved, if the regular season can't be completed, adding an extra playoff team to both conferences. I just want to say quick about the new minority hire rule. Listen, the NFL has talked about kind of finding ways to get more minority hires in the league for quite a few years, and rewards like draft picks and stuff have been kind of thrown out there. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a terrible idea, but I think the problem extends much farther than the NFL's reach. If you want to see minority head coaches and executives really get a footprint in football and eventually in the NFL, it starts at the lower levels. It starts at high school and even colleges and stuff. That's where minorities need to get opportunities and have a chance to succeed. Because unless it starts happening at every level, what the NFL is doing isn't really going to make that big of a difference, in my opinion. But I to do something. I'll be curious how it shakes out, assuming it passes with the Players Association, which I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to our last topic. A tradition unlike any other, the Masters in November starts tomorrow. And basically it's who brings home the green jacket. I like Dustin Johnson. I like DJ. What do you mean, of course you do? I mean, what?
Are we picking winners or the guy who's going to finish second place? Just curious.
I mean, look, Brooks Koepka and Rory McIlroy, and there's so many good golfers out there. But I like DJ. I mean, look, this guy is, I think, arguably played the best golf the last few years over anybody. And I just think, he's due. It's his green jacket. That's why I like DJ. I mean, look, I can't justify. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Like, oh, he's won his last 5 tournaments, or, I mean, I just think he's a solid golfer. He usually shows up in majors, and as we all know, you need a little bit of luck to win a major. You could have a great week and walk away with it, and that might be the only tournament you ever win in your life. We've seen one-time major winners, but Dustin Johnson, year in and year out, the last few years, has, I think, consistently been the best golfer, and I like him to win the green jacket. So go ahead, Robert. Who do you like?
Well, the bettors apparently think highly of Bryson DeChambeau, and while I understand why he's getting a lot of love. I mean, he looks like a damn linebacker out there, but Augusta's not a place where you can just hit it 350 and then just get a short wedge in and call it a day. There's definitely a lot more shot shaping and accuracy that's needed than power. So I don't think that this will be his week. I'm going with Xander Schauffele. And the reason why is that this is a guy that plays well in tournament golf. But if you look at how he's done in majors, and he hasn't been playing majors for very long. I mean, this is his fourth year. He's got 7 top 10 finishes, and just this year he's got 2 top 10s in the majors that he's played. But more importantly, this is a guy who was one of the runner-ups last year when Tiger won the Masters. So I think that he's been one of the better players over the year. I think he's ranked in the top 10 in the world rankings. And I think that this is his time to break through and finally win a major. Not that he's been doing it for that long, but he's had some near misses, some good performance in the tournament, in major tournaments. And I think that this will be a great setup for him. I think it's going to get tougher for guys like Schauffele to win the U.S. Opens and the PGA Championships, just because those are going to favor the big hitters, like DeChambeau and Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka. But this is a tournament that I think is fit for Schauffele, and I think he'll be the Masters champ and wearing the green jacket on Sunday.
All right, Justin, who do you like?
Well, first I have to say, and I am so certain that our old friend Kevin Rivley would agree. I'm seeing some of these pictures from Augusta, and that fall backdrop just looks gorgeous right now. I am very jealous of the guys and gals who get to go down and shoot some pictures this weekend. That's got to be awesome, and we'll see how it goes. I love scenery. Like, that's just kind of a thing that I enjoy about the golf courses. Part of me hopes that this goes really well this weekend, and maybe they'll consider doing a fall Masters more often. I think that'd be cool to see. As far as my pick, well, Robert stole my thunder, of course. I was also going to say Xander. I mean, you said he's on the verge of winning one of these majors. He's got a bunch of top 10 finishes. He just like Chris's boy, Dustin Johnson, finished tied for second last year at the Masters. So he's as good a pick as any. I will say, guys, I am avoiding, if I'm a bettor, I am avoiding Dustin Johnson, and I am avoiding Tony Finau, because I am afraid of all athletes who have recently dealt with COVID. I'm scared off. I've seen Ezekiel Elliott and Cam Newton fall off a cliff after having that. Yes, football's a different sport, but if you've had COVID, hey, I'm glad you're back playing. I'm glad you're healthy. I'm not betting on you. I'm scared. And then my boy, I just got to throw his name out there, Brooks Koepka. I'm off the bandwagon, at least for this tournament. He just hasn't played enough golf this year. He's been hurt. And he kind of had a lame duck performance in the last major he played in. It really fell apart on Sunday. So Brooks, I'm ready to jump back on the train in 2021, but for this tournament, I'm off. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens. But I like Xander Schauffele to win, just like Robert said.
I'm hearing the weather forecast is for rain tomorrow, so I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have on the course and everything. I mean, and of course, we didn't even talk about Tiger. I mean, I think everybody's kind of writing him off,
and why would we? He's a bum.
Justifiably so. He has not done anything this year. His last tournament, he finished in 72nd place or something. I mean, I think for Tiger, making the cut would be good. Maybe making a run, maybe being there on Saturday on moving day, maybe being part of it. But I know I wouldn't be putting any money down on Tiger. I think it's just unfortunate, but his body is broken down, and it's just for him to compete at a Masters or any major, everything has to go his way. Every single little thing has to go his way, and it did last year. But for 2 years in a row, that's going to be kind of tough. So, all righty, that's it. We'll wrap it up unless one of you guys wants to add anything quickly before we sign off. But
I think I saw a couple tears go down Robert's face when you said that Tiger doesn't have a chance, Chris. We know that Tiger is Robert's boy.
Yeah.
And it's been a tough go for the most part for the last 10 years for Tiger fans. But I agree with you. I agree with you, Chris. It pains me to say that I have to agree with you on something, but Tiger's done.
Wow.
Well, the reason I love Tiger so much is that, like him, I win a lot. So it's a mutual connection.
Except
but,
you've won a lot. You've won a lot recently. Okay, where if you were talking about the good old days, 20 years ago when you were winning stuff like people do with Tiger, hey, you would have a similarity. But what have you done for me lately, Robert? You've done plenty. Tiger hasn't done squat.
Yeah, I think with Tiger, I will say that, in terms of majors, I think that his best chance is really going to be between the Masters and the British Open. I know that there's still people hoping that, maybe he has an outside shot at breaking Nicklaus's record. I don't think so. I think, what happened in 2019, we might get a moment like that, a few times over the next few years, but he is getting older. I do have to go plug in my computer here. He is getting older, and I think that that's going to be something that affects his play in these tournaments going forward. So I think with the Masters, I think that he'll play well. I'm not sure if he'll compete. There's a lot of good players coming up. So I wouldn't count on it, but a good top 20 finish, I think, will give him a little bit of confidence that he still has something in the tank to compete. But we'll see.
And remember, we'll be back in Augusta in 5 months, so it's not like we have a long time to wait for the next Masters. It'll be here with less than 6 months. So, all right, we'll wrap it up then. Robert, thank you very much. Justin, thank you. Even though you guys basically just insulted me the entire time, as always, it's a lot of fun to be with you guys. So, and of course, thank you to everybody who came on Facebook Live to watch us. And if you're not watching us live, we're usually here Wednesdays at 4 in the afternoon. If not, you can watch it afterward. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.